Hey, what's happening? Thanks for tuning into another episode of Let Me Talk. Today we got an unusually cool episode. Got a couple guests today. My first guest I've been trying to have on for a couple years. Right? Introduce yourself.
It's true. Hey guys, I'm Jamie Hyder, and I am finally here with Dean. I've wanted to for the last couple years. It's not
Yeah,
I
right.
haven't wanted to.
You're hilarious.
I've been under lock and key.
Now, do you not use the gray part, or is that like somebody because of SAG? What's going on with that? Because all your stuff is Jamie Gray.
Jamie Gray Hyder is my given name, and ever since I was a little kid, it was a family name on my mom's side. And ever since I was a little kid, my mom always said that she gave me a strong middle name because she knew that I would need it, that one day I may be famous and need a strong name. She always has said that.
Wow.
So I felt like I have to honor that and use my full name.
Yeah, right. It's cool. I like three names, you know?
Yeah.
Or one name. One of the, you know?
Maybe one day I'll just go by Gray, like when I transition, into like another part of my career.
Yeah, just like Prince or something. All of a sudden you're like, call me Gray. Once you're on a show that really hits, like on a Friends level, you're just cruising around Gray.
I like it. I might have to shorten it one day.
They came in kind of hot today. You got some shitty neighbors, and the weather's been insane. It's been 110 here, and it's a topic that I always trip out on, of like moving somewhere, and you don't know who's you're gonna live below or next to, or until you move in and you've signed a lease, and it's too late. I talk about it on stage.
Yeah, it's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, right?
It's such a nightmare. You just want to live somewhere, be comfortable, have your space, do your thing. And I've got a bunch of awesome neighbors. But then there are a couple who are just real jerks who have no life. So they literally sit around like waiting to call you on something. They police the parking lot. Like someone will give me I'll find a note on a friend's car because they're parked in my spot and say, this car is not usually in this lot. It can't be here. And it's like, I pay money for that spot. I can park a different car and 100 bikes in that spot every day if I want,
Or just my bike, right?
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
100 bikes. I was like, wow, that's a biker gang.
But this one lady is just the worst.
It's really strange that people get into just like what goes through their head all day. Do they just sit around like, I've got to fucking bust on somebody today? It's because, to me, I've been that dick a lot when it affects me. After a while, it just gets old. But if it has nothing to do with me, like I used to live in this spot and people would just park right in front of the garage, and that would make me furious because I'm ready to leave. Usually I'm leaving like close to the time I'm supposed to be there, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, fucking someone's blocking the, But I've always seemed to land it in buildings until about 10 years ago, where it was some dick that was just policing life, And it always comes down to like, fuck this guy, he's happy and good, I'm gonna just ruin him, I used to have a guy that flushed the toilet every time I'd get in the shower. He was above me. He knew it would turn the water cold. So it became this dumb game. Yeah, it became this game where I would turn the shower on and then brush my teeth while he was flushing it, thinking I was in there. And then I would play games like, like
Oh my God.
But yeah, old man dick shit, you know what I mean? The guy was 91, like, how do you have that much, like, rage at 91?
Yeah, and you don't know if you're supposed to invite them into your apartment to have like pizza and a cup of tea, and like maybe they just are lonely and you want to make their lives better, or are you just supposed to spit at their feet when they come around? Like I'd like to talk about something face to face, and it always seems like it's the passive aggressive ones, like you're saying, like the flushing or leaving some weird note and not signing your name, even though we all know who it's from.
That is the worst, right? Last night you were a little loud or whatever, then the anonymous note, eat a dick, right?
And I know who does it, and if I see her, I bring it up every time, and it makes her so uncomfortable to have an in-person conversation.
Yeah.
She pretends like she doesn't care that she's so pissed off that she can't talk. Like she just literally will turn her back to me and walk away in the middle of me talking, and I can't help but laugh some of the time because
right.
Like why are you making
We're
this
adults.
so difficult? Exactly.
Yeah, we're adults.
You're not my parents. You're not my resident advisor. This is a college.
I fucking pay rent here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You seem fiery. You're
Just one lady.
but I mean in life, what nationality are you?
My dad's family is from Lebanon.
Oh yeah.
And my mom's family has been in Appalachia and the Blue Ridge Mountains for several generations now.
Well, like Appalachian mountain people?
Yeah, we have a recipe, a moonshine recipe that's been in our family for a long time and gets passed down, and it's a very traditional southern kind of country group, There's a little redneck in there, but it's always the fun stuff.
And where did you grow up?
I grew up right outside D.C. in Northern Virginia.
Yeah, I follow you on Instagram. You're a sports fan. You're kind of a tomboy, right? Because you're like smoking hot, but yet you're like a dude. It's weird. Like I always see you're like Dodger games, fuck off, Scotch. You know what I mean? Like, what is going on here? Is that like, are you the only daughter in the family?
Well, it's my sister and I, my younger sister and I. And Callie and I were never raised to be boys or girls. We kind of were just raised with influences from both parents, and we never had brothers. So when the lawn had to get mowed, I was the one who did it, And when my dad had to, put in new lights in the backyard sidewalk, he would teach me how to solder. I learned at like age 12 how to solder, and he would come back out and check on me periodically while I'm like extending these wires.
Soldering.
I know, but I think I have also. There's some more traditionally feminine things. I'm super maternal. I'd love to cook for people. I love to have people over.
And you dress incredible too. Like you have amazing style. You're a tomboy on some of the stuff you're into, like baseball and stuff like that. But when I see you out, you look amazing. You're dressed really nice.
Thanks.
I think it's really a kind of an East Coast thing. Women are way more classy, I think, on the East Coast than they are in L.A. Do you think that? Like L.A., it's more like that, still that spill off of Pamela Anderson, like, all right,
There are really good people in both places, but I definitely think the value system is slightly different.
I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying the style, the clothing style and stuff of, say, the East Coast is just so much more, it's just more classy and it's more the speed I like,
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit more classic and everything on the East Coast, I think, and the West Coast, which is part of what I like about the West Coast is coming out here and kind of getting to be free and unique. But I'm so happy to have been born and raised on the East Coast because I think I got a good foundation and grew up in a real slice of reality. And then I think it's helped me to be able to kind of make my way around LA.
Absolutely. Now you're growing up outside of D.C., and a lot of people haven't talked about your credits yet, but the first thing really was that I heard of was True Blood. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Nashville, you were on, right?
Graceland.
I mean, Graceland.
Yeah.
Nashville, Graceland.
I know. It's hard.
Same kind of topics, right? Was it same? What was Graceland about? Because I never got to see it, but was it the Elvis stuff or is it just a name?
The name came from the fact that the agents on the show, they commandeered a drug lord's mansion, and it was dubbed Graceland due to his affinity for Elvis. So when they went in and seized this property, it was initially belonging to someone who had an affinity for Elvis, so that became the house where the agents lived. So that being dubbed Graceland was the name of the show.
That had nothing to do with music at all.
No, but
That's
everybody
hilarious.
makes the same, they'll ask if some of the people who are in Nashville are on it, and then you have to explain it's kind of different.
Yeah, because they were out at the same time, right? You know? And
but nothing to do with country music.
So you're living outside of D.C., and what gets you into acting? Because that's what you moved out here for, right? So you're out there?
I grew up as a classically trained singer. I was trained for 12, 15 years and pretty much sang primarily.
Like what kind of music?
I did a lot of like classical music and a lot of musical theater.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had a kind of a different voice back then. And then I had surgery on my voice. I got sick, tore one of my vocal cords.
No, did you have nodes?
It was a polyp.
Oh, man.
It was a polyp, so they just take it off. And so for like a year and a half, I was like this.
A year and a half?
I talked like this for like a year and a half. They took it off.
So did they cut it off or laser off? Because I sang for 25 years, and of course it's a big nightmare. Adele had them, but everybody's had them. I just had a woman on 2 days ago that managed Guns N' Roses in the early days. Axl got nodes. A lot of people get nodes, and then they also get polyps, which is like what, like a blister?
So a nodes is like a hardening of the vocal muscle.
us.
A polyp is, in this case for me, I got really sick and got a really bad cough, and I've had this cough my whole life. I've broken ribs. It's like crazy. This
Yeah,
weird
and that
cough.
bangs the vocal cords
and I tore
together.
one of my vocal cords. Yeah, and so a polyp is basically something that forms around like a trauma.
Oh.
So they had to go in and cut it off, and then that kind of put me into straight theater. So I studied theater and film studies in college. I did a bunch of stage productions.
When they cut that off, you can't talk for what, 3 weeks or something?
3 days of strict silence, and then after that, you can kind of just be easy on it. And the weirdest part is your voice changes instantaneously.
Wow.
The second that obstruction is moved,
So all of a
your
sudden it's
voice,
clean.
It went from being like this, and then I was at home like a day after my surgery. I like bumped something in my bedroom, and was like, "Ow!" And like the voice that came out it scared me.
Wow.
It was very weird.
I know people that have gotten it from sneezing. People don't understand, like, if you get bad allergies and you sneeze all the time, really powerful sneezes, like, it'll
be a lot.
Yeah, man, people have gotten them from sneezing and shit. It's the scariest thing, especially for somebody like me or you that talk a lot for their job. Like you're acting, I do comedy, and then I do podcasting. And it can wipe you out. It can drop you into depression. It can make you feel like, oh, I'm done. You know?
Yeah, you're used to having that kind of control, so even now it can be a little difficult. I want to get back into music, but a totally different style, one that suits my personality and voice now a little better, do some bluesy, jazzy stuff. But when I do attempt to sing sometimes, I have to remind myself that my range is a little different and everything, and it can be a little frustrating. But it did get me into straight acting, and I was able to do stage for a while, and then I went back to DC and did stage, and eventually decided I wanted to move into film and television, so I moved out to LA 8.5 years ago.
Wow. Now, how do you come out here? Just solo with a little bit of money and a rider truck? Because I just had a girl on that did the same thing.
Yeah.
And she said it was just brutal. I can't imagine what it's like to be like, it's hard enough, this town, but to come out not knowing anybody as a woman. You know what I mean? Because this town is so radical, you know?
Yeah, I was in DC, and my dad said to me, if you really want to do this, I think you need to move to LA. When are you going to move to LA? And I was like, Dad, I don't have the money to move. Like, I'm trying to save money, all this stuff, And my dad said, if you're worried about the money, I'll give you $1,000 if you move in the next.
$1,000.
Exactly, right? So, of course, at the time, I'm like, what? That's crazy, Dad. And he's like, I'll give you $1,000 if you move. And 2 weeks later, I moved.
Wow.
And yeah, of course, at the time, I'm like, thanks for the $1,000, Dad, which I spent in the first week in towing and parking tickets.
Wow. We got a call. Let's grab it. Hey, what's happening? You're on the air. Who's calling?
Dean Delray. Hey, how you doing, pal?
How are you, man? Are you listening to the show?
I am. I actually had a few questions for the lovely lady.
All right.
What did you think of E3 this
What's that?
E3?
What did you guys? Yeah, E3. What did you think this year? What was your favorite?
Oh, E3 was pretty awesome. I haven't really had something this big to promote before. So going there for Call of Duty and promoting Infinite Warfare, it's like people are so excited because it's a totally new version of Call of Duty than they've seen, which I think scared people at first. But we got to reveal all the new gameplay stuff, and people were super excited. And, walking around, I really loved the way the new Mafia game looked. They had this whole setup that they created this whole atmosphere, and I thought that looked awesome. I went in and did the domes where they have it basically creates the 3D image without having to wear glasses or anything.
Wow.
Yeah, these really cool dome things. You lay on the floor and you look up. It's like a planetarium, but they created the graphics in a way where they move in and out towards you, sort of.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And you play games inside the dome?
You could. They were kind of showing all these really awesome graphics and videos and nature and all these things. It feels like you're hang gliding over an ocean. They create these very immersive experiences within these little domes.
It's really visceral, Dean. You should check it out.
Yeah, let's get in. Thanks for calling in, man.
Yeah, cheers.
I wanted to slowly get into what you're doing now. Let's get into the Call of Duty. But before we do, let's talk about you move out here, and do you get an apartment? What do you do? Craigslist?
I happen to know one person out here, someone I went to college with, and he had a house in Los Feliz, and
Great neighborhood.
And he had a room, and I moved in with him.
What a score!
I know. I shipped
Great
my car
neighborhood.
out here, and I for the first time in my life, I had been in a relationship and all these things. It was the first time in my life when I had to learn how to do things by myself.
Right.
Which was scary and awesome at the same time. So I'd get up every morning and I'd walk to Figaro do my crossword, have some eggs and a coffee, and, then start my day from there. And it was, for me, a very new and slightly uncomfortable, but super awesome at the same time. It was a cool experience.
How old were you?
I was probably 22.
Wow, 22?
Yeah, 22,
So you're out here,
21 or 22.
you got a fucking $1,000, that's gone. Now what are you doing for money? Do you get a job?
I found a job before I left DC, actually. I
Where at?
scoured Craigslist, and I found a job looking for people at a quote-unquote busy recording studio. They needed a client service person to come in to help answer phones, put out food, schmooze the clients.
Which
just
studio?
hang out. So I get out here and I get a phone call, set up the interview.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm here. You guys were interested. I can come in for an interview now. And they said, okay, here's our address. You can look up our website if you want at www.recordplant.com.
Oh, the plan.
And so I click on
Holy
the link,
shit.
and the first thing I see is all the Grammy nominees from that
Fucking
year.
one of
you
the
know?
best studios of all time.
Yeah, it's one. And then I came to realize it's like one of the top 3-4 studios in the world.
Well, so you're working there.
So I was there, they looked for someone just one day a week, initially, and I ended up being there. I was very overqualified for the job. I didn't come out here to make cookies and margaritas for people, but it was so fun. I never had to work in a restaurant.
What kind of
I was
stars
there.
are in there that you're making margaritas for and stuff?
I mean, you think of anyone, they've probably been there. Anyone from
course.
Elton John to Lady Gaga to Chris Brown to Black
While
Eyed
you're
Peas
there?
did their whole album, all while I'm there. My first day, my training day was Common, JoJo, Pharrell, Rihanna, Chris Brown, Keisha Cole had a string session with Ron Fair.
Yeah.
It was like...
Anybody good, though? Was anybody good?
It's like you have someone like Slash just walks in
Yes.
and is like, hey, how's it going, sweetheart?
Wow.
And
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
like Snoop is, I see him out and he would joke with me. If I ever saw him at a party or something, he would always be like, where are my cookies at?
Wow.
I got to meet a lot of cool people, and it was never boring, and it was flexible. I could still audition.
Did that get your music juices going, though? Again, because you're in the ground zero of like one of the greatest studios of all time, and maybe you work there a little bit and you can start doing some tracks.
Nobody knew that I sang pretty much
Wow.
most of the time I was there. There's towards the end of my time there, I was there for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. I mean,
I
you
went
should
in
have
as-
said something. Snoop Dogg would be like, bow, wow, wow. And you're back in the background going, yeah. Right? That would have been great.
Yeah, I don't. It wasn't why I was there, and I
got
didn't
it.
want to ever present that.
Yeah.
And I did finally get in the studio with a couple of people who worked there, some friends of mine who were engineers. I'd always sang prepared music, so I'd never tried writing.
Right.
And I got in there and actually did it, and it was super fun. I was like, wow, I could actually kind of
Oh, yeah. Fuck
figure
yeah.
this
It's
out,
creative, man.
And so that was really fun. But yeah, they gave me a hard time. They're like, the whole time we had no idea. And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to do my acting stuff. And even though music was my first thing that ever got me into performance, I feel I have a brain block about it. I feel like I have to do some work before
Yeah.
I'm ready to jump into that.
I'm the same way. Like, I played music for 25 years, and then I decided to do comedy, and that's what I do. It's people are like, don't you miss singing? It's like, well, I did it for 25 years.
Yeah.
I
I do miss it, though. I miss a lot. I'm going to go back to it for sure. That's just,
right. I mean, maybe you land a TV show where the character's a singer or something. That'd be super cool. Now, how do you get an agent when you're out here? Because everybody moves here. It's the same thing. Do you sign up for like one of those online audition thing where you get the audition and you're going cold?
I immediately went online. I got advice from a couple people who, workshops I had done in college, things like that. I contacted those people when I got out here and was like, hey, I remember you speaking at my college, blah, blah, blah. Told me to get on like casting and all like the normal websites they tell you to get on.
Yep.
And I was submitting myself to hundreds of things a day. I was just on there.
Headshot.
Submitting, just anything that I
What's
could
it called?
find.
Like castingnetwork.com?
Yeah,
or something,
there's
one
like
of those?
Casting Network, there's, Actors Access, LA Casting, all this stuff. And I went on and just started submitting myself. I've probably done in my time in LA, about maybe over like 3,500 auditions.
Wow.
In about 8.5 years, and that's really not an exaggeration.
Yeah. And
It's a lot.
how long till you land your first gig? Is it True Blood?
Yeah, it took me about a month or two, and I got a commercial agent out here, and I worked in commercials and did all that kind of stuff in print and modeling and all that crap. And once I made a living doing that and got a theatrical agent, and True Blood was the first recurring role that I booked. So
Wow.
to land on HBO for having that be my first network and my first production experience as well, I learned so much. And it was like I started off with a really tiny part. and I was only supposed to have 2 episodes, and they ended up keeping me on for 11 episodes over 2 seasons.
Wow.
And it was just, I got to really kind of grow and learn as I went.
The show had such a cult following. Aaron and I were talking about it earlier. I never saw it, but Aaron was like, I learned something about myself. I don't like watching people drink blood. You know? It is kind of nasty. Now, when you go in, your character gets naked. Were you uncomfortable with that when you read it? Like, my character gets naked? Because, I mean, your dad and people are like that are going to see it, right?
They asked me about a month before we started shooting if I'd be willing to do this one particular scene. They were going to cast someone new and then thought it would actually fit my character and gave me the option if I was interested in doing it. You know, I thought about it I couldn't think about it for very long. I thought about it for a matter of hours.
Yeah.
Talked to a couple people whose opinion I valued in that way. And I ended up doing it. I felt like there was no better place to kind of just to do it, to kind of put it out there. As far as HBO, they take really good care of everybody. They know what they're doing. And this is my 2nd season on the show. I didn't feel like I was coming in doing that and heading right back out.
Yeah, right.
You
It's
know?
just not some part-time nude scene. Right, gotcha.
I had turned down a lot of roles in the past with nudity, in fact.
Really?
So
like some good roles?
Yeah, there was stuff early on things like Entourage and stuff like that that I just didn't feel warranted the nudity, at least just by like wherever I was.
Yeah, because
at
there's
that
the guest
time.
roles, right? You don't want to be known as the person, just a guest role. She's going to get naked or whatever.
Yeah,
but if it's a part of your character, then over an arc of a character, the character gets naked or whatever. Yeah, that's just different, right?
Yeah. So when it came down to doing it, I had spent that. If anyone who knows me knows this is a miracle, but that month that I had to prepare, I had no carbs, no dairy, and no alcohol.
Wow, no alcohol.
Month.
That must have been hard for you. I've seen your Instagram. Right?
I know. But let me tell you, there's no better motivator than vanity. No denying that. And also, when it came down to doing it, I didn't want to worry about my body. I didn't want to worry about how I was standing or sucking in or what I was doing. For me, my work was to get my body in a place where my mind can just focus on exactly what we're there to do. The context of the scene. The fact that it's 30 degrees outside.
Oh, really?
In the middle
Where
of
were
the
they
woods.
shooting it?
We would shoot up in the valley, off like Las Virgenes.
Up there, like
Ranch,
Disney Ranch and shit?
Yeah.
So, goddamn, that's cool
It was
as
30
shit.
degrees in the middle of the night in the middle of the woods.
Oh.
So I needed as few distractions as possible because I had to deal with those things. And, Joe's awesome. Kelly's awesome. We did it. I told my dad, like a month before that it was going to happen.
And what did he say?
And he was like, at first he thought I was kidding. And I was like, no, it's real. It's happening. So you just can't watch, the first episode of this season,
Oh, no.
So the week before I did it, it was like a Friday or whatever. And my dad said everyone at work was like, oh, we're so excited to see the new season of True Blood. We can't wait.
Fuck.
We can't wait to see Jamie. All people at like church and parents and stuff,
no.
are like, Jamie's going to be back this season. We can't believe it. And my dad's like, yeah, she's going to be back, whatever. I'm trying to like mutter about it.
He doesn't tell him?
And so Sunday night it airs. Monday morning, my dad said that no one at work would even give him eye contact. He goes, Jamie, it was the funniest thing. They wouldn't even look at me. Everyone wouldn't shut up on Friday and come Monday. There's not a word.
Wow,
And
right?
I was like, thank God he had a good sense of humor about it.
Yeah.
And I told him.
Where's your dad work?
He works for the government.
Oh, whoa! Even worse, right?
But I told him, I said, you know what? One good thing that will come out of this, and we were talking earlier about hackers and things like that, and worrying about people trying to dig into your stuff as you start actually getting to do what you want to do in life, and it makes you more vulnerable. I was like, you know what? No one's ever got to dig for naked pictures of me.
Yep.
No one's going to hack my phone.
They're not going to put your face on another body now because...
And I'm happy with how I looked.
Yeah.
It's like... I was like,
Also,
I know this is terrible for you, but
it's so funny because
I controlled the situation.
America is so freaked out about nakedness, It still trips me out in 2016 that people are like, nudity is so weird.
I know.
Isn't it weird?
We're such wimps.
And we are, right? Like in Europe, it's just like the magazines are naked, ads and stuff. A cigarette ad, the girl's topless. It's like, who cares? I think the longer that you keep it locked down, it's that middle America Bible Belt thing. The longer you keep it locked down, the more it's like, oh, I can't believe it, Where if it was just standard, no one, they'd be like, oh, she was naked. So what? How's the movie,
Yeah, as I say for everything in life, things are only as big of a deal as you make them. And in this case, for me, people are like freaking out. But in the end, everyone was really cool about it.
Yeah.
Is it a little bit awkward sometimes when you meet someone, you're like, I loved you on True Blood, and you're like, well, this is already an uneven relationship, But like, it's it's,
Yeah, yeah.
it doesn't have to be a big deal. It's like, oh my God, now you know I have nipples and pubes.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like,
holy
who
crap. Like, did
cares,
you know
right?
that was under there?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah. Now, after you do that, after you do True Blood and it ends, how long is it again before you work again? Because I don't really hear about you working again until Graceland. That's kind of when I meet you. We meet at a mutual restaurant we eat at all the time, and I meet you, and you're just starting to work on Graceland.
Yeah, there was, it was probably close to a year between
Were you
finishing
kind of
True
tripping
Blood
out
and-
like, wow, I'm not working?
Oh, hell yeah. The world, including right in this moment, I'm finishing up with Call of Duty, going into promo. I'm so worried about whether or not I'm ever going to work again.
Yeah.
So I was auditioning a ton, and you tell yourself, oh, I was just on True Blood on HBO. This is my
Yeah, the phone's gonna be
gateway.
ringing.
Like, now people are recognizing something I've done. Like, things should pick up. There should be a change. There should
Yep.
be a shift. And there's not really that big of a shift.
Yeah.
Because what it comes down to, it's not like more work is all of a sudden available, that you still have to wait for the right role to come along. But in your brain, you're thinking, because you're more capable, that means more work should be coming your way. But you can't really control what's out there, honestly.
Yeah.
Which is what all actors need to understand.
Yeah, because you're like, what's going on? My phone's not ringing. They go, well, we got 75 roles here, but they're for like a 22-year-old boy. You're not that, so
You can't
sorry,
help that,
or whatever it is.
And
yeah.
you don't ever want to take a role you're not right for because it'll make you look bad in the end.
Absolutely.
Let's
get into Call of Duty because you're working as an actress and then you get offered Call of Duty and do you think because that took up a lot of your time, right?
Yeah.
Like while I was talking to you, you were secretly working on it and stuff. Does this in your mind, do you think, wow, I'm totally away from what I'm doing out here? Or do you think, this is some good money? Is it good money? I don't know what it is, but how do you get offered that? Do you audition? What's going on?
Yeah, I auditioned just like anything else, because narrative was really important to this game and to Taylor and Brian.
It's
Taylor
characters?
Curran. Yes.
Characters in the game of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And is it you actually, you put
Yes.
on the sensors and
Yeah.
they make a version of you for the game?
Yeah, what you're doing as an actor is it's not different than what you do for a film or a television show.
Right.
It's just how you're being captured that's different and what kind of things you have to work with that way, knowing how important your body language is, because they may not be able to see your face depending on how you're standing.
Right. Now, when you...
But yeah, it does look like me. It has my voice, my face and body. We're all scanned. They've got all my freckles. They've got...
Wow.
It's pretty specific.
Now, when you get this from your agent, are you like, come on, man, video game?
No, actually, I had done one a few years before.
Oh, you have? What one?
Killzone Shadowfall.
Right.
It was the launch game with PlayStation 4. And that
Are
was
you
a
a
really
gamer?
quick experience. I'm a little bit of a gamer. I've
Right.
become more recently. I've really wanted to get into gameplay and all that because I want to understand how we're different. What we're doing
Totally.
is the same and different as far as the franchise is concerned, and it's also a lot of fun.
So you go into audition.
Yeah, I go in. I audition. I know that I've done audition for a lot of video games. In fact, over the last few
Really?
years, because due to the nature of where the gaming industry is going, the narrative is so important that they're actually hiring real actors as opposed to hiring mocap actors and stuntmen, and then hiring separate voiceover actors to create a character.
Right.
Now they're hiring actors to come in and create full characters with one person.
Wow.
So, our cast is insanely accomplished. The actors in our cast are all top-notch people with a ton of credits and have been in the industry for a long time. You go in, you audition. The only difference really is it almost feels like you're auditioning for a stage production versus film or television because you've got to use the space. You've got to move around. You've got to show that you can move your body
Right.
in a way that's going to, relay information.
So you're
which
in
is
the
important.
audition and there's is it just like an acting one or there's
Yeah.
some casting people there and then
Yeah,
you're
it was
you got
just
like
the
a fake
director
gun? Yeah.
and the writer, Brian Bloom, who also plays the player in the game.
Wow.
Who is my partner, my character, Lieutenant Salter, is the player's right-hand man in the game. I am there. I'm the player's partner. I've been there through all of the training, and in the game, the player character gets promoted to captain and becomes in charge of everybody, and I become the second in command.
Wow.
So I'm the one there with you the whole time, helping you get through all the challenges of the game.
This shit takes a long time, right?
Yeah.
Once you land it, do they say okay, now you're going to be working on this for a year?
I've been doing performance capture for over a year now. I started at the beginning of June of last year, and
Where
I have
at?
a session
Here in town?
tomorrow. Yeah,
Here in town?
Woodland Hills.
And you still keep working on it.
I'm working on it as we speak. Tomorrow,
Even though
I
the
have-
game's out?
the game comes out in November, so the promotion has been out. The game itself releases November 4th, but we're still shooting pickups and because everything's being done simultaneously, so everything's getting put in as you go. and then they kind of have to see how everything flows, and then go back and figure out what we need to redo.
Wow.
But the
so
game
they're
itself
constantly
is,
testing the game as you're shooting the game.
Yeah.
So you go to the Woodland Hills, you put sensors on?
Yeah.
And then they say in this scene you're running through a jungle and you're shooting stuff? Or
Yeah,
what?
they'll say in this room in particular, you're in the lab of the ship right now, and you've got to come in here and you've got to get this one particular energy weapon you got to get out with. So
And there's nothing in there. Is it
So
all
you're in a
fucking
mocap
green?
stage, which just looks like a big empty room
Uh-huh.
with tape on the floor, tons of cameras lining all the scaffolding around you, and then there's probably a table with some tape on it. There may be a couple platforms for you to walk up on that has tape where the stairs will be. And then they take this camera, which is the coolest part of the entire process. They take this little camera with a screen on it, and they walk around the room and they show you real time what it will look like in the game.
Wow. So
you're
you see the
standing
scenery
there,
and everything?
So you can see
Oh, wow.
exactly
Give you a
like
little
everything
taste.
on the table. So when I go up and I pretend to be using a keyboard, here's where I need to be standing because the keyboard is off to the left a little bit.
Wow.
So they can show you real time exactly what the environment looks like, and then they take away the camera,
Yeah.
and then you go to shoot it.
Now, when you're shooting it, of course, I'm not a gamer, but I have played some games once in a while. And it's a long setup, usually these games where you pick your character and then all your weapons and all your specialties and stuff. Do you shoot all those scenarios and then so the person could pick different stuff?
So in our game in particular, there's kind of one linear way that it goes, and you can choose all the main missions and do them in line, or you can do offshoots. There's little optional missions that help you pick up information or pick up extra weapons or things that might be useful as you go along. So, it's like a road where you've got one straight line that you can hit with certain stops, or you can branch off on these little side streets as well if you want to, and extend your missions. And, it's kind of the thing where as you go, everything changes and what you need to do in each section is different depending on what environment you're in. We deal with a lot of zero gravity and things like that, which are all new for the
So
Call
you're
of Duty
floating around
franchise.
too?
Yeah.
Do you got like cables on you?
You've got your float. Well, we don't do any of the wire work.
Right.
We more so kind of suggest that, and then a lot of that is animated. So
wow.
what we do in performance capture is enmeshed with what they create from scratch in animation as well.
Wow.
And all of it has to blend together. So there are often times when we have to start and end in very specific poses or walk out of a room with a specific foot leading because they've already done the animation or are going to, and it needs to be able to blend seamlessly into the parts that we're not doing live.
Sounds like too much work.
It's about 700 pages of dialogue.
Whoa.
It's like 4 films.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Now, do you, like you're fucking locked down now, right? Like you can't do any movies or anything.
What's actually been great about this job, it's been a dream job. I've done more guest stars in the last year than I have ever before.
Oh, so you can actually do that, huh?
Because they own the mocap stage in the facility where we do everything, they have a lot of flexibility. You're not working with location constraints and
Right,
things
right.
like that as you would in a normal film. So with this, they can kind of work around it. It has been a lot. I have been doing a lot. I've missed things, but the gravity of what we're doing is so huge, and most people don't understand, and understandably so, that this is a whole new viable thing for actors. This is a whole new realm.
Totally.
And the work is amazing. Not that it matters, but the pay is also great.
Is it? I was going to
mean,
ask you that. Do you get a royalty on the game when it sells? Is that worked into it?
They're working on that. That doesn't exist now.
Yeah,
There's
that's
not really
gotta
any
happen.
precedent for back end reimbursement.
Yeah.
But they pay you for their time. They're asking for a lot, and they have so much money. Video games, like,
Oh, right?
And it's amazing the difference it makes a lot of times when you're working too, because everyone's so nice.
Yeah.
And everyone is,
Yeah, because they're not getting jammed up like, could you do this job? It's going to be light on the money. We'll get you next time. It's none of that. It's just kind of like, hey, this is great.
But I mean, it kind of has to be that way because the amount of work they're asking people to get done.
Yeah.
The designers and everybody who's been working on this, they're on a 3-year cycle. They're coming to the end of a 3-year cycle. I've done it for a year.
Wow.
For them, this is a 3-year commitment.
Then the game comes out in November.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, do you think you'll be in part 2 or part 3 of the game? Or, because this is what, part 2 of Call of Duty? What is this Call of Duty
This
run?
is the first of this particular storyline.
Right, gotcha. What is the storyline? Can you say it or no?
Yeah, so Infinite Warfare, it's a story that's very heavily based in leadership in an undisclosed time in the future. We're dealing with basically an intergalactic component of what is essentially the UN. So it's an international agency made up of people from all these different countries. My character, Lieutenant Salter, and the player, Lieutenant Reyes, are part of this SCAR team, which are basically like the Navy SEAL equivalents of this intergalactic component,
They're like
military component of
super
the UN.
military.
Yeah, so we're the ones who go and handle the space warfare. And the game starts off with a Pearl Harbor style sneak attack going on during Fleet Week in Geneva, Switzerland.
Wow.
And they basically just get attacked. And so that kicks into motion the entire game. They lose all their fleet, they lose the captain, they lose everyone. So Lieutenant Reyes and I have to step up, take control, go back and start to take back these resources that are being commandeered by our enemy in the game, which is the SDF, the Settlement Defense Front.
Right.
And they're trying to take over things like the moon and Mars and other areas of the solar system and things that hold valuable resources. And it's
so
our job.
crazy,
It's
right?
our job to protect that.
Crazy to like that somebody's writing the things involved in this game. My buddy created a game 8 years ago, and just years of them writing the game and the characters and then getting the voices and all the in and outs of the game, the back end of the game. There's this one game Bobby Lee plays. I played it for a couple years. It was intricate, man. It's just like you could pay and you pay online or whatever and get like higher levels and all this shit. And I'm just like, wow, people do not want to go outside anymore, you know? But I think
crazy.
as radical as the world gets, people look to stay inside, you know? And, it's a rough world out there right now, and they just stay in and play video games and enjoy their home where they're at, right?
Yeah, I think it's comfortable for a lot of people, and I think that the video game industry is really growing and starting to attract people who aren't standard gamers anymore. They talk about people who have stressful jobs. You can be a white-collar worker and come home and you spend an hour after, you're busy on the stock market playing a game to blow off some steam,
Totally.
I think that it's and the amount of work that goes into it too. I think people appreciate that.
Yeah, that's radical. I mean, I'm coming from fucking Pac-Man and Dig Dug, where you're fucking blowing up little like weird things.
Yeah.
I look at a game now, and my buddy is on the show with me a lot. Spicer has a game and podcast and stuff, but these games are so fucking real, man. Like this car driving game, I talked about it a couple episodes ago. It was like you were racing in, the south of France, like Monaco, like the people were real, the cars were rad. It's so insane. And now that we're got into the virtual reality, the goggles and all that stuff, it's really radical, man. I mean, it's a total nother world. You put these goggles on, you're shooting stuff,
Yeah, all of the VR technology is really crazy,
and you just throw some drugs in on that, and you got to fucking you're in your own apocalypse now, man. You know what I mean? Going upstream looking for it's crazy.
It's very immersive, and that's like one thing that was really important to us about having such a good narrative is we want you to care about the other characters in the game, and we want you to care about, you have to make a lot of decisions as the leader in this game. You have to decide things that are the difference between life and death for people in your fleet. There's a lot of moral quandaries that you actually have to consider in our particular version of the game, because for the first time, the player is the leader. Normally, a player is a secondary person following the leadership of another character.
Right.
This is the first time where you're calling a lot of shots that have an impact on other people. So in creating a narrative and a bond between the characters, we're hoping to really up the stakes and have it be more than just a technical hand-eye coordination, exercise. It involves your mind and your emotions a little bit more.
And maybe they make a movie. You know what I mean? I mean, everything's a movie now. Why not Call of Duty film? I can't believe they don't do that, right?
Yeah, I think that it would make a great film, especially the one we're dealing with now in particular, because like I keep saying, going back to narrative, there's so much work that was put into it. And, we've created a whole nother world where all of this is existing. And I think that, several of the titles, but especially what we've been working on for the last couple of years, I think would make an excellent film. I think it'd be fun.
That's badass. Well, thanks for coming and doing the show. I'm excited for you. Very cool. You
Thanks
got a
for
cool
having me.
project, and I hope you also get back on some TV and movies, and come see me do comedy.
Yeah, I know. I got to now.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I haven't had any kind of a social life.
I haven't seen you in a while. I saw you and your sister at the 101.
Yeah, they're most days. I'm at the 101.
Yeah. Love that place.
I do too. I probably eat breakfast there 4 or 5 times a week. It's kind of my
Yeah. You work out a lot?
asylum. I have been working with this awesome kickboxing trainer for the last
Wow.
probably 4 or 5 months.
Kickboxing is fucking brutal, right?
It is. It's pretty cool. My trainer, Mark the Fight Shark Miller, is like he's a former professional fighter.
Wow.
And so he trains fighters, and I know he trains some other actual friends of mine who are also actors, but he trains you like you're really going into a fight. So I've been working with him 3 times a week for months now, and it's been awesome. I mean, he doesn't hesitate to whack you in the side of the head if you drop your hands, you know?
Yeah.
But
well, that's a good steam letter offer too, right?
it's great
Boy.
for stress, anxiety. It's great for me for work to actually have experience. You know, I just filmed an episode of Rizzoli and Isles, and I think because I was in better shape than I usually am, they let me do all my own stunt work.
Wow.
And let me, you know, I'm jumping over decks and climbing fences and stuff that I don't think I would be able to do if I hadn't been applying myself. But so yeah, I've been kickboxing, getting the crap kicked out of me.
What other guest spots have you done? You were just mentioning them. Let's shout them out before you go.
Yeah, the next one coming up would be Rizzoli and Isles. I don't have the exact air date yet.
Cool.
But I'll get that. I just did an episode of Bones a few weeks ago.
Right on.
NCIS. I did one a few weeks before that.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's great. It's nice to have had like other, you know, the other little things in between to kind of mix it up.
Yeah. I think that, you know, once the game's out, you're probably going to super blow up. You know what I mean? Plus, those PAs you can make money on, just like, oh, you know, Jamie from Call of Duty's coming to the mall. Right?
They're
You're like,
super dedicated fan
Yeah,
base.
right? You just pick up these weekend paychecks, man, and next thing you know, you can say fuck off to that neighbor.
I know.
Right?
Buying a house.
You know, you buy that building and you boot her out.
There we go.
You're out of
I like
here.
that. New motivation.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Real quick, your Twitter and your Instagram.
You guys can follow me at JG Hyder, HYDER. I'll try and be interesting.
On
most of the time.
Instagram and Twitter?
Yep, Instagram and Twitter.
And check out her booze of choice, scotch. And who's your baseball team?
Nationals.
Yeah, right?
Going to my second game in a row tonight. They're playing the Dodgers, so we went last night. Now we're going back tonight.
Yeah,
my sister and
You
I.
like the Dodger dog?
I do like a Dodger dog.
Your sister live out here now?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She just moved out here. She was doing school at USC, getting her master's, and she graduated and now took a job out here teaching.
Wow.
Down by
high
USC.
school or junior high or what?
Elementary school.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah, she's an awesome human, and we are sports lovers, so we'll be back at the game tonight.
You like football?
Oh yeah.
Who do you like?
Redskins. My dad's had season tickets
that's
for over
right.
30 years. And although I do have to say, I'm surprised he didn't kill me for this, but I got season tickets to the Rams just because I really love going to games.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't be
yeah.
home
Yeah.
for Redskins games, so
You bought season tickets,
I got
huh?
season tickets to Rams.
Wow.
I know.
What about a man? You got a man?
I do. I've got a man.
Yeah?
I've got a man. I mean, I'm working so much and everything that I'm happy to have somebody that I can share some time with, but my focus definitely is on work and
Everybody
that
out
is
here.
it's super satisfying to be able to do what I love and
Absolutely.
you know.
Well, thanks for coming by, and it was great to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm glad I finally made it. Thanks for being patient.
I keep running into you. Like, it's so weird. Like, you're like my magnet, you know? Like, I run into you in the weirdest places all the time.
On the street corner, at a comedy place, at breakfast,
Whatever.
all over
It's
the
just
place.
like, what is up with this girl? Like, I see you more than anyone. It's so bizarre. I guess we just both don't have lives, right?
I guess so.
We're just like, all right,
I'm
back
happy
to
with our lives.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having
me. When's the game come out again? November?
November 4th.
All right. Call of Duty.
Infinite Warfare.
Thank you so much. And come see me do some comedy anytime.
I will.
Yeah, all right.
I will. Be
I'll
funny.
see you later. Right there she is. Get the game, check it out. And I'm going to bring up my next guest here, who are, you can hang out for this if you want.
Sure.
It's up to you. It might be boring. If you got to go, you got to go. But these guys make custom-made boots. They made these boots right here for me.
Oh my God, those are nice.
I know, right? Look at those.
Those are
By
real
hand.
Sturdy.
From Wesco Boots up there in Oregon, outside of Portland.
Nice.
Come on over, guys, and let's. Which one's Chris? Because I've never even seen you. I just had you on a phone interview. Grab a seat right here. Hit some headphones. That's Jamie. Do you guys know her?
Hello.
True Blood, and and also Graceland, and now she's on the Call of Duty new video game. And how are you? What's your name?
My name's Bruce Shoemaker.
Bruce? How are you, bud? That's your mic right there. And how are you, Crit? Now, Jamie, do you like motorcycles?
I don't have one, but I like them. I can appreciate them.
You like that biker culture and stuff,
Yeah.
like the hipster biker? Because this weekend is the biggest hipster biker event of the year called Born Free. And I've gone a couple years, and I'll go this year. It's one of the most amazing bike events ever. It's basically if Los Feliz and Silver Lake, everyone got on their bikes and rode out to some fucking lake. Where is it again? I don't even know where the fuck it is. I just go there, but it's thousands of amazing choppers and bike builders and then bands play. They got the AC/DC girl cover band, Hell's Bellas or something playing. But Chris is out here and Bruce, and they what they do is they make boots by hand. I had Chris on the podcast, and he made these boots for me. But really what they do is you can measure your foot, and they make a boot exact to your foot, which is insane. How are you, Chris?
Good, man.
Good. Did you go out to Born Free today? Now you're going to have a booth out at Born Free with Langlets and good Hollywood good art, right?
Yep, for sure.
And did you go out there too, Bruce?
We left the John Wayne Airport and drove right out.
It's fucking hot as fuck out there. Now this week has been the worst week ever for heat. It was 116 or something yesterday in the valley. So out there where that thing is, it's got to be 120. You know, how hot was it?
Well, it's like in the middle of nowhere. I had no clue because we drove out and there's kind of a lake there.
Yeah,
You know,
it's a
normally
funky.
I'd expect more water, but
It's not a lake at all. It's like some guy made like a duck pond.
pretty
You
much
know.
glorified.
But I tell and I tell you, you'll cook out there. You know, you'll cook. There's no fucking shade trees or anything, and people turned into walking lobsters out there. You know, so you went out and you were like, "Wow, this is it."
Well, we don't really know where it's at because we pulled up, talked to a couple people working out there, and they said, well, it's in one of these fields. So
Yeah.
we kind of drove around and looked at some parking lots, and I thought, well, it's got to be on that nice grass over there. 'cause
That's where it
there's
is.
One patch. Okay.
Yeah, it's on the grass, and then there's just miles of dirt parking, and it's just thousands of bikes out there, you know. And it's one of my favorite things to do. It's fairly new. I think this is number 8 or something,
Yep,
and
number
8 years, and it's you know, because of Sons of Anarchy, it became a lot of guys who really didn't ride. They jumped into the like, I want to get a vest and ride, you know, and they ride on a Sunday, and then they go home on the Monday and put the bike away and clean it all up and put their suit on or whatever, which I'm not knocking, but I'm saying the people that go to Born Free, I'm not knocking them because whatever you got to fucking do, you got to
take the
do.
rental back. I get it.
Yeah, but the people that are that go to Born Free, that are involved with Born Free, are real deal, and it's people like Paul Cox from Indian Larry, Roland Sands, guys that make choppers from their fucking hands. My man Aki's out there, Chopper Dave, all of these guys that make bikes from the fucking ground up, handmade. That's why I love Wesco, which is cool, or Langlets. Everything's handmade out there. There's no bikes out there that are in the show that are bought at a store. They're like bikes that a dude in a fucking warehouse in like Long Beach, you know, welded up, man. And it's incredible to see these machines because they get selected to build for Born Free, like 10 guys. And they go, you're going to be a Born Free builder. And they build something in a year from the ground up. And you see these things and they're like, you know, worth $100,000 or whatever. They're incredible, you know, and the people are like me. They're so into it. You can just look at a bike for hours. Like if you bring a girl there that's not, they're like, let's get out of here. Or even a dude. I brought a dude friend last year. We were filming some stuff for YouTube of me out there. And after about an hour, I think he was like, we already looked at this bike. And I'm like, I know, but I want to see it again, you know? Do you ride, Chris?
Yeah.
You do? What do you got?
Right now, I've got an 81 Shovelhead.
Wow, dope.
So before that, I had a FXR.
FXR, what year?
I had it registered as a 94,
Yeah.
so that's kind of the
Last year?
era, you know, but I had, once I swapped out and got a frame from, I'm sure you heard of Chopper Guys.
Oh yeah,
Up out of, okay,
Chopper
so
Gay's FXR frame.
yeah, so I had one of those, and then I kind of ripped it all down, painted it, and even took in some foam to work, took some boot leather, made some custom seats and bags and stuff. So,
Wow.
but,
Maybe you could make Jamie some boots.
I'd
You
be
know,
happy to.
I forgot to mention that I was given a mini bike kit for my birthday because I've always wanted to learn how to put together like a car or something, just know how it works.
No shit.
So someone just gave me one for my birthday, so next week I'm putting it together.
Now, does it have like a Briggs and Stratton style motor, like a lawnmower motor?
It's got a motor on it, yeah. It's like basically like a mini moped. It goes up to 30 miles an hour.
Does
It's
it
got,
have the
like-
pool kind of motor? Like,
I'm not sure yet.
wow. Now,
It's
where'd
in the
somebody get
box.
something like that?
They ordered offline.
And you're going to build the mini bike?
Yeah, from scratch. I mean, obviously all the parts and everything are already made, so I'm gonna put it together. But now I need some badass boots to go with my mini moped. If you won't be too embarrassed.
Yeah. So now I got to tell you, Chris, your episode it was fucking off the charts, man. People love to hear about handmade stuff. What, Jamie? What kind of passion stuff what do you absolutely love? You love Scotch. There's a lot of people that make booze. Like your family makes, they have like a moonshine recipe. But you know, what are you into? I'm into handmade stuff, you know, or I'm also a freak on like men's products, like pomades, you know what I mean? Weird shit like that, you know what I mean? Like, it's so fucking old world. Like, look at this pomade, the packaging and the smell and all that fucking weird shit. I'm a sucker for packaging, you know? If it's in a wood box of some sort with a brand on it, I'm like, yeah. But what are you into, girl?
I cook a lot.
You do?
I love to cook. I love to drink, you know, and at home I probably have 10 different bottles of scotch and whiskey right now. Some that you know about, some that are more like interesting or rare. And you know, I've got my friends and I, we love to cook, so we'll get together and we'll have some kind of a goal in mind. We'll get like a huge pork shoulder that we want to cook all day and break it down and make like Korean little like pork wraps, or, you know, I love to make my own pickles.
Wow.
And things like that. I need more time and more space. I would love to, you know, smoke my own meat and do all that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, cooking is one of those things that you really can start from scratch and very simple stuff. And like all of a sudden you end up with something new and you're like, holy crap, I did that.
Yeah, that's amazing, right? Like, I love barbecue. Mm-hmm. I think it's the best thing on the planet that this place, Aft Barbecue in Toronto, fucking blows my mind. The guy's like next level barbecuer. It's not like something you hear all the time. Like, you know who's got good barbecue? Toronto. You never hear that.
Never.
But this guy, he's all into it with the computers, the way it drops these pellets into the fucking smoker, and he also mixes it with regular wood, and it's all computerized now. You know, people always say that fucking, you got to try this brisket. It's so moist, and then you eat it and you go, this ain't moist at all. It's not good at all. This guy's meats are insane. So anybody that is into something, passion of something, I really enjoy. And Born Free, which is this Saturday and Sunday, is talk about passion, people, man. There's just, it's booth after booth after booth of everybody that makes shit. One guy makes shirts, another guy makes seats, you make boots. It's insane out there, you know? And it's what a great vibe, too. It's so fun to watch.
Yeah, especially with the three that we have partnered up.
Yeah.
You know, when you're talking about opening stuff, I kind of think every time I get something from Good Art, when Josh sends it up, it's like a bag with a box inside of a bag, inside of wrapping, inside. I'm like, Jesus, how many things are in here? But,
Yeah.
you know, he gets to the bottom of it, and it's always perfect from him. So should be a good time. We've never done a show with all three of them before.
It's great. It's three amazing companies. You know, Langlet's is one of the oldest leather jacket companies in the world, besides probably Schott, that's still in business, that makes jackets in America, up in Portland, in this little fucking yellow box. You go in and go, hey, I want a cool leather jacket. They'll make like a girl's jacket. Hard to find a girl's leather jacket that's cool, you know? And you go in and they'll make you one of the coolest jackets ever, you know? And then you guys with the boots, and then Josh. That's going to be cool. Anyway, Chris is here. He's going to measure my foot. You can go, hon. Thanks, because you'll be bored watching him measure my foot. But
How do you
You never know.
okay, you want to get your foot measured? Because maybe you get some fucking boots made, man. You got to see this. There's like 7,000 selections of making a boot. Like, here's my boot, right? You can choose
the green.
choose this color, choose the sole, choose the stitching color. How many stitches? What color eye you want? You want leather here. Do you want fucking, you can make this green, blue, black, whatever. You know what I mean? You could have Call of Duty on the side. Insane. It's fucking
That
sky's
boot would
limit.
probably work. We could just stamp that one, the green and black one.
Yeah, right. The green and black one for you, and just call it the Call of Duty. Or is that
Call of Booty?
I call it booty. The Call of Booty. God damn, I can't believe that hasn't been made out in fucking
I'm
Chatsworth.
sure it has.
Call of Booty.
It's got to be out there. There's like Game of Bones and stuff.
Oh yeah. It's so funny because the spin on it, a booty call, Call of Booty is just fucking hilarious. Hashtag that, everybody that listens to this episode, Call of Booty. God damn, it's funny.
Wearing those shirts after the show. I'll make some when I get home.
Yeah.
Trademark it.
Yeah. Now, okay, so let's measure my foot. Now, before we get off the mics here for a minute, what do you do on the measurement? How many measurements are there? There's the length, because I feel my foot is longer on the right than on the left. He said that he had a guy come in, one foot was 2 sizes shorter.
Yeah, we've got a few people like that. I mean, it's not that anyone can see this, but basically we.
You can right there. We're on camera right here.
Okay.
Right here. See these two
So,
cameras? Yeah.
Basically, this template here, when you open it up, this is what we would send to any customer.
Yeah. You
So-
sent it to me and I was horrible. Oh my
Had
God.
like 12 lines.
It's
on it.
actually fucking hard. It really is
So,
hard.
I mean, it's pretty basic. It's got, A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever. And you just put your foot on here. We trace it with the pencil straight. We measure behind the ball of the foot, which is the widest part. We measure across your instep. It shows you kind of a detailed picture here of where to measure, where to mark, and then we go up the leg. So
You got to have someone with you. I was trying to do it solo.
yeah, I don't ever.
following.
recommend
I'm
that.
single.
Like,
I'm at the house. I don't want to call a buddy up like, hey, come over and measure my foot. You know what I mean? It's just like gross, measure foot. So I'm trying to do it. I sent it in and he just texted, yeah, can't use that.
Not gonna
I mean, it was like squiggly lines. And now, Bruce, what do you do up there? You're in part of the marketing? You are such an old school guy. You look like a guy that was like, I was a logger, I got hurt in a chainsaw accident, and I started working for who made my boots. I'm Bruce.
It's going to scare him when I tell him what I really came from. This is my great-grandfather's company.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So
Wow. You're the guy I want to talk to.
he started this in 1918.
1918.
So we're, 2 years away from our 100th anniversary.
Oh, God,
And-
we got to get the 100-year Delray boot.
And Chris,
a couple good ones
what would
coming
you
out.
say, Chris? I'm the newest employee.
Yeah, Bruce came
Really?
on kind of to help spark our marketing and sales and kind of give an outsider's perspective. He moved to Oregon after pretty much his career, and now is helping us with, what's going to work for us. I mean, as we all fall in love with our boots and they're all handmade, it's we're very small in a sense, just like Langlets. So we don't have billboards everywhere. We don't have ads everywhere. So word of mouth is huge. And I mean, our company started with those spiked logging boots.
Right.
So as occupations die
Yeah.
and, things evolve and all these other things that play factors into it. But, you're looking at boots that were directly based towards, here's an occupation, we're going to make a boot for that.
Right.
So like Bruce's grandfather, I mean, you have your timber boot, you have your Highliner boot, which is a climbing boot for pole climbers. You've got your Job Master, which is like an all-day work boot, which is what you have on right now.
Yeah.
Then you've got the Packer, then you've got multiple styles of our motorcycle boots.
Right.
And, I've noticed that I've been there 15 years. I moved up from California. My dad had worn the boots. I was going to college at Portland State. I saw they were hiring. It's like, oh, okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
And, once you get there, you're like, there's no way this is the factory. Same thing I thought with Langlets. I didn't realize it was such a small little business, and
What I try to tell people is, I try to talk to people that companies that I absolutely love, And people are shortchanging the power of a podcast. They're living in an old world of TV commercials and billboards, and those don't mean jack shit because the people are too busy looking at their phones to see a billboard or a commercial that they're DVRing right through.
And everything's become a niche market.
Right.
I mean, you have to speak to your niche, and that's a lot of the reason for coming down here for this show.
Exactly. And doing this podcast, I mean, the amount of response that I've got from emails is unbelievable. Like, wow, that boot place is fucking amazing. Thanks for turning me on to it. I want to get some boots. I think the most important thing is for sure podcasting because it's out there forever. It doesn't burn up. So as people find the show, they find the episode that's Chris on or you're on, and then they go, oh, I got to look at that. And it's on forever. It's infinity on iTunes. It's not going away, you know? So as businesses start to realize and they get some hipper people in there or whatever, like Harley Davidson now is looking at it like, you know, they're about to sponsor my podcast for a year here. And they're realizing, oh, yeah, let's look at something like this, you know? I mean, we're talking some of the biggest podcasts have 3 to 7 million listeners a week. That's more than any TV show on right now.
Huge.
A week.
And we saw it right after we did that. It was, you know, people were messaging on whether it's Facebook or commenting on Instagram and then emailing me from there or directly emailing, you know, Wesco, because all the info at Wesco Boots go to me. So I'm looking at it, it's like, oh, hey, I heard you last week. I want a catalog. I want this. I want that. And then I look and I see all the ones that were tagged in, you know, of people that have bought boots. So, yeah, I mean, it was killer.
Yeah, and Instagram, I think, is the biggest thing because I had that kid on, Brian the Bootmaker. I interviewed him last week, and he started from Instagram, a picture of boots, and a guy hit him from Canada, like, hey, I need to get a resole. And also, I think the market is so small, you know, that I like to promote multiple people, a few boot people, few leather people and stuff, because if I don't, they're going to go away. You know, not just me, but I'm saying these companies can't just rely forever on, you know, it's like Harley. As the older people die, the young people are going, well, why would I ride Harley? Why don't I just ride Ducati? And you go, well, because of this and that. And then same thing when people go, why don't I just buy a Chippewa boot? It's $150. Mm-hmm. I go, well, you know, this is a different thing. Sure, that's a fine boot, but this is it's a life experience. You're going to own these boots for the rest of your life. It's different, you know? That's what it's about, having something that you go, and nobody has. You know what I mean? Like, you wear something, people go like, wow, where'd you get that? It's not like everybody wear. Like, I don't wear certain sunglasses because everybody has them. You know what I mean? You just show up and you go, oh, wow, I'm that guy, you know? Now, what ideas have you brought, Bruce, to the place?
I'm spending most of my time visiting all our dealers.
Oh, yeah, and just asking them what they want?
Exactly. Putting a survey on our website.
Yeah.
Looking at. And now I have to add a category. I heard you on podcast.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so it's becoming such a diverse market, and it's in so many different lines now that you really have to think so far out of the box compared to when I got into advertising, you know, back in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, date myself a little. I did my first foot tracing. My grandfather sent me the form.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up in Oregon. My dad chose to leave the state after he got out of college, so I'm a Midwest boy.
Wow.
I grew up,
that's Boot City out there, though.
Out in Peoria, Illinois. I mean, it's like a bunch of
Oh,
farmers running around.
That's fucking Richard Pryor land.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where he's from.
And so he sent me my first form, and I got to do the sketch. That was 39 years ago. I was telling Chris on the way out, I said, I've had those job masters for 39 years.
Wow.
And he said, well, I guess your foot has stopped growing. You're 16 now. We'll just make them a little bit bigger.
Oh, my God.
I still wear them.
Now, I think the only thing I would say as a critique to you guys would be the problem is when you Google Wesco Boot, 4 million images come up, and it starts fucking with you. Like, how do we? my thing is everything looks different. So if you had on the website, this are the 3 toes we have, you know?
Well, you'll see. So we're kind of, not to get too far into it, but we're almost out of our catalogs.
Oh, good.
So we've got multiple catalogs coming out, and one thing we've discussed is, one thing over the years, we want people in the boots.
Totally.
So you can see what it looks like, whether you're wearing your denim or whatever you might have on. But we're also going to have, where it spans out on the page, multiple styles with the toes and the heel heights.
There we go.
Like say you have the model here, you've got a whole span of.
That's what you need, because man, is it confusing. Because I'm looking at a toe and I'm you made the mistake of giving me your cell phone
dude,
number.
I'm just sitting there. I know my wife's like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's Dean. Just hold on a second."
Oh,
Like 2 hours. Why are you taking pictures in the closet of all your boots right now? I'm like, it's a boot thing.
it's such a fucking addiction. Middle of the night, I'm down the rabbit hole of toe shapes. I'm like, is this the same toe shape I have? And you're like, yeah, let me get to my closet. And I'm thinking, like, in LA, everybody's just up. You know what I mean? You're just up, you're like dicking off. But I forget, you guys work, you get up in the morning and shit. So it's 1 a.m. I'm like, hey, did you do this or what?
Normally I don't care. I mean, I'm usually up late, but like one night I'm just sitting there, I hear my phone ding. I'm like, oh, I wonder who that is. I'm like, oh. Next thing you know, I'm standing there. I'm like, well, I got this one. I got that one. I got this one. Well, what about that? I'm like, well, I got that on here too. Next thing you know, it's like an hour later of us.
That's hilarious.
Going back and forth with boot pictures. I'm like,
all right, let's measure my foot real quick. I don't know how fun a podcasting that will be, but let's go through the motions real quick.
Yep.
And Bruce, you stay on the mic and tell him what he's doing as he's doing it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That way it's not like, what's going on here?
it's my first time.
He's training me. They don't let me do this unsupervised. You realize?
Can you see it? Can you see it, Aaron?
I'm going to try.
Can we do it on this floor?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Fine. We just need something flat. On carpet. The pencil doesn't really.
Thanks for doing the cast.
Thanks for having me. I'll come back whenever.
All right. So have a seat.
I'll sit down?
Yep.
Okay.
You want to shift yourself slightly forward, Dean.
Yep.
Put an angle on your leg.
Lift your pant leg.
Bye, baby.
Custom boots.
Right.
Bye. You guys have fun.
Oh, let's get a photo.
Couple good things about right now too, Dean, is it's afternoon. You've had your boots on today. You've been up for quite a while.
Yeah.
Late afternoon is kind of a good time to
Foot's
be
bigger.
doing this. Yeah, you swell
Absolutely.
during the day.
So you keep your heel down.
Some companies talk about custom fitting like this, and all they're doing is really comparing your foot and your measurements to the closest last they have.
Oh, is that right? They just
The difference is when this gets back to the company, Pete, the custom fit expert in our company, is going to actually build out the last that's closest to your foot, but then add pieces of leather to it to accommodate any types of thing. So we would mark down on the paper any problem areas where you need a little extra room.
Yeah, like I've got my middle toe is longer.
Yep.
Than my big toe. A lot of people don't have that.
Well, and you were talking about different size feet before. Well, that's 80% of America.
Yeah, right?
I mean, you just walk into your nearest shoe store of any type, and you'll see someone sitting there, saying, "Well, give me the left one. If that one fits, the other one will."
Yeah, and it does. It's funny. I just wanted to get this done, so for the rest of my life, I've got them up there like, okay, I want to dip it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we got to do that navy and the burlap and
yeah,
all
man.
kinds of it.
Well, you really have to probably update it. Maybe once every 5 years.
Is that right?
Your feet are going to change over
They
time.
do?
Yeah.
Even at 50 years old?
Mm-hmm.
Tend to flatten a little, with
Well, mine are completely flat already,
Yep.
so it doesn't matter. There's no arch.
Yeah.
It's totally flat.
You always do this in the socks that you actually wear with your
Let's
boots.
see. Can you see it? It's a perfect third grade drawing. Look, Mommy, I drew my foot. Okay, we got that. Now these are mine are done here, and now there's a pair I love online that's like these, but this is cream, And is it an unfinished leather like this, or is it a smooth leather?
Yeah, so what it is that leather we had brought on for Ironheart.
Right.
I had met Giles. We did a collaboration.
Totally.
He wanted something to match one of his jackets.
Right.
I said, okay, that's cool. So we did some leather swatches. That's finished the exact same as the burlap. It's a sanded finish, so
Gotcha.
that's why it has that suede kind of feel to
I
it.
like it.
But,
But the cream ones that I see, like a lot of the Japanese guys, is that a smooth leather?
Yep.
It's
Yep.
not
or
like
rough
that.
out. They do both.
I don't like rough out, but some people do. Yeah, rough out
it'd be
looks cool.
smooth.
If people don't know what rough out is, it's this leather, but kind of turned around, which is mean rough
It's just
out,
flipped over.
Rough side out.
rough side out. So, and what happens is it wears down really cool and becomes this weird smooth, kind of like an old animal.
Yep.
You know, like where you see your dog might have like he's missing some hair. You know what I mean? Now, okay. There's some different toe shapes.
Mm-hmm.
This is a round toe.
Yep.
Do you only have two? Now you have the other toe, so I wanted to talk. Is there only two toe shapes?
No, we've got harness, which is square.
Okay, yeah, we know that one, but
We've
I'm
got
saying
the motor patrol.
Motor Patrol, which is a bubble.
And you got this.
This is the motor patrol.
Okay, that's cowboy, right?
That's the Western.
That's the Western.
Okay,
So the motor patrol is a little square here,
right.
and then it's a little flatter of a profile.
Okay.
And then the bubble toe is one that when you look at that shoe last, it's very pronounced. It's
Yeah,
really
I
tall
don't like
right
bubble
here.
toe because it looks weird on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Now that has nothing in the toe here, no cardboard thing here, right?
This one does. A piece of fiberglass Stytherm.
Oh, it does? Because it looks lower profile than this.
It's the shoe last. So when we wrap these tight, this here is the shoe last.
Yep.
We're going to wrap that leather down completely around it.
Right.
So that just has a little bit taller of a toe, and then that's when the other one they call the bump toe or bubble toe. That one's even taller. So
Right. Now, can you get this boot just like this, but the toe lower? No.
Not really.
I'm just
Not
curious.
really.
I'm just
Not
curious.
really.
Difference.
The actual, some of the job masters with a taller heel
Yeah.
look a little bit lower.
They do. And also, I think once these break in, it starts to sag down and look, it looks like lower.
Yeah,
you know?
and you can get it made without the hard toe.
Mm-hmm.
That one would be fine. I don't recommend it on these that are really low,
Yeah.
just because you can see the toe wiggle.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
over time after it starts to.
Oh, yeah.
break down.
Looks like a 30s boot, right? Like
Yep.
there will be blood, you know?
Pretty much.
Now let's go with some other things. This sole here, I'm glad we got a camera today.
Mm-hmm.
Towards me like this? How's that?
Closer to you.
This?
Closer to you.
Oh, closer to me. Oh, right here. Like, how's this? There we go. This sole here is a fucking foot saver. It's super comfortable, you know? Like crazy soft, you know? It's the only sole I'm going to go for now on. I can't believe I never owned it before. And I think I didn't own it because, I mean, I've had Red Wings, but Red Wings don't fit my feet because you can see I got a wide foot, and Red Wings come in a D length width, and yours can come at any width you want.
Pretty
Triple
much.
E.
Like a 4A, 3A, you know, super narrow, out to 4 or 5E, whatever.
Right.
I mean, we even have a customer that had, his feet were so large, we had to get 2x8 fur, nail it all together, and then we had to sand it the shape of his feet and make it for him. We had to cut out steel plates and put them on the bottom so we can nail them. And,
Whoa. Well, and people say Bigfoot doesn't exist.
right.
Well, I mean, what the hell? 2x4s for his feet?
Yeah.
How big was his foot?
2x8.
2x8.
Well, he had he had this issue where his feet would swell, and we made them to the biggest point they would get to.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you're looking at them, they're at least double as tall as the toe on that. I mean, it
Wow.
was pretty.
Did he
unreal.
come up to the factory to get that done?
No, but he was in one of our big. We used to do these newsletters.
Yeah.
And his story was his thank you letter that he wrote to us for making them.
Wow.
And there was a picture of his boots, and they're just massive. I mean, they're huge. And I mean, as far as length, they're probably only 12 or a 13.
Yeah.
But then when you triple the volume, the thickness of it, it's just like, it's.
His foot was just like almost an elephantitis or something,
Yeah.
huh?
Yep. Basically.
Wow.
Basically.
Wow.
So.
Now, Bruce, you got some pictures here. I noticed online that they're kind of making some shoes now. Like that, like kind of slip-on style shoes. I saw an interesting Wesco. There you go, like that, right there.
That's the Romeo.
The Romeo. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that?
Barely.
Huh? No, not really. Anyway, the Romeo. What a name. The Romeo. Now, let's talk about, I've got some, now this is my boot, right? But with a different toe.
Yep.
So that's my boot, but with your toe.
That's got, but that has basically, it's this boot
Uh-huh.
with all the lightweight stitching. You have the heavy.
Oh, I got
So
you.
that's like a 65 upper, which is the number that we use for that pattern.
Right.
And that is on the same toe that's on mine.
Gotcha.
So
That's my personal boot.
That's your personal boot. Now, are you excited to go to Born Free, Bruce?
I am.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've been on a bike.
Oh, you ride?
Yeah, years and years ago. I rode for a while, even worked at a dealership. Only had one Harley that I sold to my brother, an FXRS, but now
Well,
I'm
that's a
dating-
great bike.
And I'm dating myself back to the early 80s. And
That's an incredible bike, though.
And I think there's a scar right here where I was blowing the cobwebs out one year, and I stood up at the stoplight down in Arizona and looked down and noticed that pipe is blue, and it definitely shouldn't be against your skin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right? Yeah, I rode
I think
to,
I'm imprinted permanently.
I rode to Sacramento about, I don't know, 8 months ago, and it was 110, 15 out on the 5. And it didn't actually burn the denim. You know, I got these strike gold denims. They're thick. But the heat went through without burning the jeans and blistered my leg. When I got to the hotel, I was like, wow, that's how hot it was out. So now you get the job at Wesco and you move up there with your family, or what's going on?
Actually, I've been up there for a little while. I left an occupation I had before, moved up there, started a business of my own in research. And I live in my grandfather's house.
Wow.
Actually, his...
By the factory?
Yep. It's when you get to the factory and turn left, my house is the acre in between, right above. And most of those were family homes.
So they...
Wesco started in 1918, but it started in Portland, Oregon.
Right.
And the first 4
Downtown.
locations were downtown.
Right, right.
And in 29, as you know, a lot of company owners and experience, they lost everything. They lost the big house. They had to kind of repool. And my great-grandfather, as the story's been told to me, had some property on the Sandy River.
Yeah.
And he was able to trade that for some property out in Scappoose, which we live on E.J. Smith Road. And I always tell a story that nothing infuriated my grandmother more than the naming of that road going up the thing, because she said, this is populated by shoemakers. And this should be Shoemaker Hill.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the bottom road on a lot is Shoe Factory Lane, which is the factory's address, and the road above is Shoemaker Road.
It's crazy to think that, like, you know, you lived right next to the factory as you were back in the day, you know, like you get off work and you just walk 10 feet to home, and that's where you know, like you did probably never even really left that whole area of Oregon.
yeah, and you need to come up and go through the tour because we've got a lot of old historical pictures of the crews and before the office was built, and it was just the factory building, and I mean it's insane.
Yeah.
It's
The
so cool and
history
unique.
is really rich, and I that's the fun part I'm having, is
Yeah.
I'm learning about my great-grandfather, I'm learning about my grandfather, I'm learning about my great-uncle, and Roberta, who took over from her dad.
Yeah.
And so there have been family members involved in the business for years, but even the employees are practically family, because we had an employee who retired just a week and a half ago. And how long had
She
Lucy?
came basically after high school.
Wow.
She had been, and that's, I mean, when I started, I've been there 15 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I came in, it was, you know, I knew the boots. I came in, they're like, you know, asking me whatever, what have I done before? And I'm like, well, I've never made boots, but I'm pretty sure I can do it. So, you know, I'm trained by someone that had been there 32 years.
Wow.
And it's like they had done that job for 32 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about a master craftsman. That's right there.
Yeah, right. 32 years of doing something, you know?
Yep.
Most people don't even have a girlfriend or boyfriend for 5 years.
Well, yeah, even me being 36, most of my friends have had
Yeah.
multiple
20 jobs.
careers and jobs, and and I've been there since right when I turned 21. You know?
I can tell the people that work there like it too, because when I was tweeting it was one of the best Instagram runs that I did, where I was slowly showing you pictures of my boots being built, and people were going crazy, you know. But one of the guys that had worked on these boots, he's like, "Oh, badass! I was wondering who those were going to. I just finished up part of those, you know." And I was like, "Wow, that's cool," you know.
Ty, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
That's so badass. Okay, so now here's the deal. Born Free is this weekend in Los Angeles, and you guys will be out there, and you'll be doing custom measurements on anyone who's buying a boot. It's not just a random measurement, but if you're going to buy a boot, they will custom measure you out there. And then from there, it'll be about 8 years till you get the boots. So what you just fucking around. And that's one last question I want to ask you. Can you really take on more business as you know, like, because it's got to just stack up too much, right?
I mean, one thing for me coming from doing production, you know, for 8 or 9 years, and then doing the sales manager position, like the last 2 months, I've actually been out helping make boots the majority of the days.
Right.
So, you know, now where you had so many employees, like I had mentioned, for example, Richard, 32 years, Lucinda, who just retired, you know, we had all these long-term employees. Now you have, it's like, oh, well, I live out in Portland, this seems cool, but then, oh, I got a job in Portland, you know, it's
Right.
It's like, I don't know, my head always spins. I go out there and train someone, and then I'm back in, and then I'm out training someone, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
It's pretty crazy, but, you know, we're always game for more orders. We'll just have to figure it out.
Hell yeah.
That's a good problem to have.
That is a good problem to have, right? Better than out of business, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
1918 to 2016, coming up on 100 years.
Yep.
2 years away, and you'll be out at Born Free, and you're always at Sturgis. So if you're riding out to Sturgis this year, they measure up out there also. You going to Sturgis? First year, you're not going.
Yeah, we've done the last 14 years.
Wow.
Taking a break.
Yeah.
So, actually, we kind of did Born Free to see a different
group.
you know, kind of,
Different crowd.
different
Yeah.
scheme.
Well, Born Free is really a perfect crowd for Wesco.
Mm-hmm.
Really fucking is, man. I mean, those people out there care about their boots, their denim, their their motorcycle parts, everything about it's a lot of that Rin Tanaka inspiration crowd.
Yeah, he'll be there.
Yeah,
He's coming.
so it's great, you know. I mean, what a fantastic show. Thanks for coming, man.
Thank you.
And good to meet you, Bruce. And
Nice meeting you.
I can't wait to get to Oregon and get into that damn factory and periscope the shit out of it.
We're
All
going
right.
to be waiting for you.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna turn my phone off for about 2 weeks after.
Yeah. Hey, what about this? I think I'm almost there, though. I kind of know what I'm into now. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And go to WescoShoeCompany.com.
WescoBoots.com.
And also check them out at Born Free. And hit up Chris. Everybody's been asking me how to get a hold of him. What's the phone number there?
You can call my cell. I mean, it's no problem. 503-410-0834.
Give him a call. Get some boots. Everybody loves this Del Razor one. They dig it. And man, I've been wearing it. It's been 115 degrees, and I'm wearing them nonstop to get them broke in, man.
Should help. It should help.
Yeah, I'm
Less
going
time.
for it. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you later.